Welcome to A Course in Business Miracles. This is Heather Dominick, creator of businessmiracles.com and founder and leader of the highly sensitive entrepreneur movement. Join me today for some genuine practical assistance and a business-altering and life-changing experience, a business miracle. This is A Course in Business Miracles, episode number 87. Highly sensitive shame. It's uncomfortable to clearly face the part you personally play and why your business and life goals aren't happening the way you want them to. In this podcast, I vulnerably share a painful childhood memory to illustrate how to stop resisting doing what it takes to create what you want for yourself. It took me 20 years, but it doesn't have to take you that long. Not at all. So what happens then when we suddenly hit our story of not being able to handle it? What happens? What happens is we stop. Stop. And that looks different for each of us. But whatever you were in the process of, before you hit the resistance, wherever you were experiencing the least satisfying aspect of your business, resistance, stop. And then from the stop is shame. You have stopped. You have stopped the path of productivity. You've hit resistance, and you are doing anything and everything else but what you were in the process of doing, which had you on the path towards your intention, your dire need goal, or just whatever aspect of fulfilling your calling through your business as a person who's highly sensitive. So, what is shame? And its connection to resistance. First of all, shame is a feeling. It is nothing more than a feeling state. It is not part of your personality. It is not a characteristic. It is not a genetic makeup. It is a feeling. It is a feeling state. It's a painful feeling. It's a painful feeling that is a mix of regret, self-hate, and dishonor. And the ego mind has a big stake in shame. Because shame is a further guarantee of the stop, which means that change cannot occur. We lose access to Ayuk at that point. And typically, shame is connected to a conclusion about what this moment, whatever the moment is that you're experiencing that's created the shame, what this moment means. And the meaning that you're giving to the moment is based only on this nervous system cascading of emotions, based only on previous times that you've experienced this cascading of emotions. That efficient part of your brain is telling you this means exactly what it meant the last time this happened. And none of that is true. and yet it is a vicious and it's an unconscious cycle. So shame. We each have our own relationship with it. It's like an affair that you know isn't good for you, but you just keep meeting at the seedy hotel on Route 9. You just keep going back. So I remember that the year after my mother died when I was in 8th grade. It was June, because I missed 8th grade graduation. It was June 14th. And literally just 1 year later, my father was moving us in with this other woman in a different town. And it was at the end of my freshman year that my father moved us in with this other woman in a different town, which meant that the friends that I had grown up with from kindergarten all the way to 9th grade, I had to leave. And I remember driving in the car from our old home to the new home with this woman, and I don't know why, but I was in the car only with her. She was driving, I was in the passenger seat. And I remember saying to her something along the lines of, I don't remember the exact words, but something like, well, you know, you guys are going to have to drive me back to see my friends. And I'm sure in that moment I was feeling anxious and I was processing that anxiety and in a very poor, ill-equipped 15-year-old way asking for help, right? And what she said in response, she said, "Who do you think you are to tell me where I'm going to drive and when? You will not be driven back to see your friends." And in that moment, I remember there was like this flood of heat in my chest, like almost as if my heart was going to explode. And the heat traveled up through my throat and into my face and clamped down on my mouth. And then it felt like it was a hood that went over my head. And that was absolutely the beginning of shutting down in my voice and the moment that a scullery maid was born. Going back to the money mindset training intensive, of that I believed that I had to prove that I was worthy of whatever it might be. But that feeling was absolutely my physical sensation connection to shame. And there was a cellular memory that locked in that moment of the shame of speaking up for what I needed, the shame of asking for what I needed, the shame of doing a bad job in asking for what I needed and being shut down. And so that moment in the car, that moment, it was absolutely on her. She was an adult. I was a 15-year-old girl. I had just lost my mother the year before. I took on the shame, but it was shame on her. But every moment after that I repeated that cascading of emotion, every moment I repeated that experience of shutting down and feeling that shame, every moment after, I'll give myself a little bit benefit of the doubt, from 18 on, was on me. The first time, on her. Every moment after, for close to 20 years, on me. Deep breath in and let it out. And that is the beginning of really changing the cycle and really beginning to shift from resistance into resilience. The recognition of first, what is that shame experience for you? What does it feel like? What does it look like? What does it taste like? And from there to begin to take responsibility for it. And through that responsibility, to call your energy back. Deep breath in and let it out. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of A Course in Business Miracles. If you're ready to learn how to use your highly sensitive abilities to support you in being purposeful, profitable, and empowered rather than scattered, poor, and undervalued, take my free self-quiz to find out if you are indeed a highly sensitive entrepreneur. And if you are, along with your quiz results, you'll receive my free HSE Success Guide, which will teach you how to have your highly sensitive abilities working for you to create the results you desire in your business. Take the quiz and receive your free success guide now at www.hsequiz.com.